the #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.
Good evening, guys, and welcome to episode 113 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Bexon. Today, we're going to be talking to Juan Zuñiga from Eje Construction. So I thought it'd be good to get a construction builder on the show so that we can, really talk about kind of what's happening in that part of the market, whether they're seeing a slowdown, what surprises, challenges there are for people when it comes to construction, and also kind of get an idea of also cost of construction as well. But Eje, just so you guys are aware, is a construction company that's worked on a variety of projects from large government installations to homes all over Costa Rica. So today we're going to be talking with them about their experiences and just kind of getting a bit of an update there. I want to say thank you very much to everybody that's been reaching out. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with some of you and actually helping some of you as well. We're kind of we're helping quite a few people with projects that they have at the moment, everything from larger kind of more hospitality focused stuff to even, finding a piece of land and actually building a home, kind of project managing and building homes. So I'm sure that some of you out there are aware of who you are, that we're also helping. And I know that you are thankful that you were able to chat with us and contract us and have us help you with that. So remember, if you want to get in contact with us, you can info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. Don't be shy, guys, even if it's to reach out to say hello, or if you've got any questions or any topics that you'd like us to cover, we'll do our best to see if we can get people on the show. But anyway, enough from me. Let's get straight into it. Good afternoon, Juan. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you, Richard? Just excited to be here with you.
No, not at all. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on here. I mean, we've had a few people in construction on here before, but nobody, I think that we've just gone through the process with you on a building that we're about to start in Hacienda Pinilla, a beautiful home there in Los Golondrinos. So it's good to get you on the podcast and get your input on, helping people build here and also kind of what's going on in the market.
Oh, first of all, thanks for having me here. And hopefully we can have a lot of context after this.
I'm sure we will do. Well, Juan, I mean, the world is a little crazy at the moment with, inflation, economic turmoil. We've got a few wars going on here and there. I think, our listeners would like to know, based on, I would suppose, kind of looking at quotes that you guys are putting out, is it speeding up, slowing down? I mean, what are you seeing that's happening in the market at the moment?
Yeah, we actually had like a bump, with this pandemic and all.
Yep.
But things are starting to speed up again. They've been really going up this year. We had like a rough third quarter last year, and still at the beginning of this year we were kind of left behind. But things have started to go up again, luckily, and we've been trying to search for new kind of projects because we were mainly focused on the government contracts, especially with Universidad Nacional, but it kind of went downhill at some point during the pandemic. So we tried to go back to private construction with private projects and trying to locate new clients. And that brought us to different kind of places in Costa Rica. We are now trying to finish a home back here in Heredia. Well, right now I'm in Heredia, and we're also had this big house for us in Hacienda Pinilla. We started that project like 3 months ago.
Yep.
Reserva de Golf, and yeah,
now you have another project in Hacienda Pinilla.
Now I have a great project now in Hacienda Pinilla at Reserva de Golf, and we're looking forward to it because it's a really exciting project, a new exciting project. People might think that, well, he's saying that they're speeding up again and has only mentioned 2 projects. That's something about our enterprise, about our construction enterprise. Yeah. We like to call ourselves like a boutique construction company. We're totally focused on our clients. We don't have a lot of projects at the same time. We try to keep it as as low as possible so we can really focus on the project, in every project. We're a small company, small in terms of people, but we've been doing great stuff for the past. Well, the company started 20 years ago with my father and my older brother, and now it's just my older brother and me. And
Yep.
yeah, like recap, yeah, it went down a little bit in 2020, 2021, but it's starting to go up again.
Okay, so
Really
you guys are not really seeing any slowdown in the past couple of months. It's quite the opposite. It's sped up in the past like 3-4 months.
Quite the opposite in the past months.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna have to hire another one. My brother said here.
Wow.
I think we're gonna have to start hiring new people and all, because yeah, we want to keep that attention to every project, and that's a possibility in the future.
Definitely. Well, I mean, you guys have built some beautiful things before. I mean, again, you'd mentioned there some of your installations in the National University here, where you've built swimming pools and some buildings, and I mean, that's not easy. I mean, these are large, again, government, infrastructure works that you guys have done, but you guys have also, if I'm correct, built homes in Reserva Conchal. You've also built homes in the Central Valley here as well. You're building one, as you mentioned, in Hacienda Pinilla. You've got another one coming in Hacienda Pinilla as well. So, I mean, you guys are pretty busy.
We're pretty busy, and we're all around the country, because building not only homes, like you said before, but infrastructure, every kind of infrastructure, sports infrastructure, like educational, all kind of stuff. Every one of those projects, it's kind of funny, because you have to learn a lot of new things every time with those kind. It's not like building a home, because homes are basically not all the same, but it's the same process. And that's completely different when you're trying to build a semi-Olympic pool or a racing track or a football field. You have to learn a lot of things every time. So it's really exciting. That's why we like it. That's why we do it.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure that some of the stuff that you guys learn there also applies, when building luxury homes as well. I mean, building an Olympic pool, building a pool for a home is very easy then. Building a soccer field, you've got to have good drainage. I mean, depending on where people are building in Costa Rica, you've got to have good drainage.
You can always start from every project and apply it to a new one. That's for sure. And especially how to manage the labor force. For me, that's one of the key parts of construction. In terms of the quality and labor force, for me, are top priorities always.
I agree. I mean, when it comes to building a home, where do you guys see most of the hidden costs in construction? Where people are like, wow.
That's a tricky question, because they're hidden costs, right?
Sure.
If a project is not thoroughly conceived since the beginning, there's always going to be hidden costs popping up all around the construction. So where do they show up? Well, mainly when you are in the finishing phases, right? That's where you see things that weren't conceived in the beginning, like some electrical outlets here, some furniture that wasn't thought really well, stuff like that. Just a second.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, 60% of, the costs sometimes are in the finishing. So, I mean, it's really important that, it's that you really have a good plan when you first start. I mean, we spend a lot of time when it comes to, the bidding process of really detailing out of what we need included and what we don't, so that, the client doesn't get surprised at any moment in time when it comes to, hey, by the way, we need an extra $25,000, $30,000.
And it can happen. It shouldn't, but it could happen if things are not thought out. And you can have 100% really well thought project, but in Costa Rica, there's a big, huge factor, which is the weather. Rainy days, it's like 90% of the days in here in Costa Rica. So that's where the things start to go up, and financially speaking. Also with the labor force that we're also talking to you about, there's people, they get sick, they get injured, they get tired. So those kind of things are the ones that keep bringing those hidden costs up.
Yeah.
Showing.
Juan, I mean, you know, sometimes, I've heard stories all over. I mean, say you're getting like 3 or 4 quotes and there is a huge disparity, you know, a huge difference between the lowest one and the highest one. What do you think some of those reasons could be that there's a major difference in those, and what should people be aware of?
Well, it can go from misinterpretation of the blueprints,
Yep.
like soil excavations and stuff like that. I think it's mainly because of that, because when it comes to finishes and doors and windows, it's basically the same. If it doesn't matter if it's a prime quality or it's a low quality stuff, the prices are going to be like the same for every how do you say offer, like every
bid. Yep.
I think that the main differences come from misinterpretation of the blueprints, and that's something that happens a lot, because sometimes the blueprints or the person trying to figuring out those numbers doesn't know how to read them properly, and that's where the disparities come. Also, there are really expensive companies, you know, like bigger companies have bigger margins for winning.
Yep.
And some others don't. So I think that's where the differences might come from, because I mean, cartoon, it's all there. I mean, the blueprints are the same for me or for the 3 other offerers, right? We all are going to offer based on the same thing. So that's where the differences might come, and that's where once you deliver or give your client a number, that's where you sit down and start to pinpoint where can you go down, or why did it go up at the first place.
Well, I mean, one thing I always get concerned about is, hey, I got this quote from, you know, Johnny down the street here, where he's telling me I can like build for X amount, you know, and then, which is way higher than yours, you know. And again, I've heard this so many times of like, okay, it's not a reputable company to begin with. Secondly is there's no cost controls. I mean, you're just having to send money and make sure that these people are buying what it is that they're buying. You know, it's just, you know, I mean, I spoke to someone the other week that had paid 50% down, you know, for a $200,000 build, put 100,000 down. The guy did $15,000 of work. And, you know, they were like, well, he's just such a nice guy, but like he did $15,000 of work, never did anything else. And he was just like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, I'm sorry, dude, like you should have never paid him 50%. Like it should have been via milestones. And secondly, you should have had a clear contract with him as well.
A clear contract it's key. I mean, even if it's with me or someone else, if you don't have a clear contract, you're losing. You're already losing. And obviously, good reputation it's also key, right? And people that work with by the law, you know, there's a lot of people that, well, here in Costa Rica, we have a financial factor that it's big. It's labor, and we have La Caja de Seguro, which is
Social Security.
I mean, Social Security. I mean, we have to provide that to our labor force, and that adds up a lot in the budget. So some people just don't pay those stuff and charge you less, but that's gonna come up later up in the construction process. I mean, you're gonna definitely find out about it at some point. And you can also have a construction without an engineer, without an electrical engineer, without a mechanical engineer, without a civil engineer, without a proper constructor, and it's just Johnny down the street building the house, and you have no guarantees about it. I mean, definitely no guarantees about it. So I mean, that's a huge difference.
I mean, as you know, I mean, we get hired sometimes here just to check the work the construction company's doing for certain milestones, you know, just to make sure that, you know, they're doing the job properly, which, you know, I mean, I think Costa Rica, as I always say, it's a trust but verify country. I mean, they're like, yes, trust people, but just verify everything.
You should always verify, because there's a lot of fine people. Well, you've met Costa Ricans for a lot of time. I'm Costa Rican, but I know that you should always check. I mean,
it's the same everywhere. It's the same in the UK.
It's not a that's what I was going to say. It's not a Costa Rican problem. It's a human nature problem.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, maybe you could help the listeners just understand the rough cost per square meter or square foot of construction, say, because it's always the case. Like, Rich, how much does it cost? You know, and sometimes I'll have people say that it's 120. Sometimes I'll have people say it's $250 a square foot, you know, which is like $100,100 a square meter up to $2,000 a square meter. But I mean, what would be an average that you'd say for like nice ceramic floors, granite countertops, you know, and then what would be the, you know, the extreme of like travertine and quartz countertops? I'm not like asking you to like for someone, you know, for a quote to build a home, but just to give someone an idea.
I'm not giving away any secrets. Don't worry about
it. Okay.
No, I mean, first of all, there's like this base work that everyone has to do, even if you're going to use ceramic floors and granite countertops, or well, that's like, let's call it masonry, right? Masonry, respecting every Sophia rule and seismic code and all. It's about $800 to $900 per square meter, right?
Okay.
After that, we start clothing the building. Clothing, I call it like finishes, painting, whatever. Ceramic floors and granite house may go from around 1,500 to 1,800 per square meter. I mean, in Guanacaste. And a more luxurious house with travertine and quartz countertops might go from somewhere $2,200 to $2,500.
Okay.
Wow. Kind of like that. But the skeleton of the project, the masonry, it's basically the same. It's all
going to be the same. Yeah.
It's all going to be the same. It's how much luxury or how much quality you want over that, which can make a huge difference, right? So kind of it's where the prices might go.
Well, I mean, if you have someone that's looking to like lower the price on a building project, I mean, what advice would you give them to do this? I mean, what options would you say that like, look, maybe consider these options over these options?
First of all, get your priorities right. I mean, get your priorities straight. You want a luxury kitchen, that's all right. But maybe you can't have a movie theater in the house, right?
Yep.
Like I said before, finishes are key. I mean, you can use ceramic, or you can use travertine, or you can use a
polished concrete.
Concrete is basically the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, windows is a huge difference in a house. You can do aluminum or you can do PVC, right? Like plastic. You can do solid wood front doors, or you can do some cheap doors. I mean, it's all about what you want to see, what do you want to get in your house, what do you need right now to be luxurious, and what you don't actually need to be luxurious. So first of all, is get your priorities right, because you might have a lot of budget to build a house, but you don't want to overthrow it, right? So you want to keep it simple. You want to, let's say, save some money. Just sit down with your architect. Always use an architect. That's going to save you a lot of money, even though you don't feel like it at the beginning. And he's going to help you to define what you actually want, what you actually need, and how you do it at a lower cost than it would be without the architect or a professional helping you to come to that conclusion.
Yeah. I mean, give us an idea, because, you know, always people are asking me, hey, how long does it take to build a home? And I mean, it's depends on how big it is, but like to build a 250 or say 2,500 square foot home, which I think is around about 220, 230 square meter home. I mean, how long would it take to build that from start to finish, would you say?
In our experience, it's about 6 to 7 months. That's the Costa Rican time, because someone in another latitude might say you're crazy, 6 to 7 months. Why is that? And you're laughing because you know why. It's because of the rainy days. It's about 80% of the days in Costa Rica are rainy days. So what you need to do is start at the dry season, and you have to be roofing before it starts to rain again. That's key. If you accomplish that, you can cut some weeks for it of that 6 to 7 months. But it's roughly 6 to 7 months every time.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we try and kick off, stuff during the dry season. I mean, we've got a couple kicking off in November, some in December, January, February, March, just because, we could have started them earlier. We just did not want to be laying foundations in September and October where, the rain, because we're overseeing a project at the moment that did, and, they had some issues.
It's a big issue because you dig all
Like all the trenches for the foundation.
the trenches. Thank you.
Yep.
Some words just escaped my mind. And you go back the next day and they're like a pool. I mean, it's like you already did the pool, right? So you have to start draining everything again every time. Every day is the same. It's mad. It's really mad. So that's why you should always start that phase, especially a dry season. We always give that recommendation. Sometimes clients just want to start. It doesn't matter. I want to start in April. I want to start in September. It's like, are you sure about it? It's going to be a lot expensive. They did. And so that adds up to like a month or so.
Yeah. I mean, are there any words of advice that you'd give to the listeners when it comes to building in Costa Rica? I mean,
yeah, the first of them, it's be patient, because government entities here are kind of slow, and depending on the place that you're trying to build, it's going to take forever, or it's going to be like this. It's going to so you have to be really patient. You really want to you need to really want to live here in Costa Rica, or really want to develop a project here, because it's going to be, at the beginning, it's going to be tough. That's the first advice I would give, but it's definitely worth it. I mean, I can say that enough. It's definitely worth it. If you want to invest here, you should. The second is always seek for professional advice. Never stay with the Johnny down the street advice. Never do that. And like I said before, always start in dry season. That's like the three rules for me, for someone that's going to be coming to Costa Rica to invest.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, my last question for you, Juan, just because again, I don't want to keep you too long, but if you had to you inherited $500,000 and had to invest it into a business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you do with it and why?
That's a tricky. I think I would use that to invest it in building and selling somewhere in the Pacific. It could be North Pacific, Central Pacific, even South Pacific. Not so much in the Atlantic because it's not moving as fast. But I think that's the places that are starting to grow up again. I was actually, before this interview, I was listening to the episode 89, because the name popped up. It's Fabricio Villoni.
Yep.
Well, he's a friend of mine for like a lot of time ago.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a terrific guy. Fun fact, we played for Costa Rica national team basketball team, and back-to-back champions in like 23 years ago. Yeah, so I was listening to his response, and that we started with this interview, so I didn't listen to his response. But yeah, I would definitely use it to invest in real estate for sure. Guanacaste it's going back like it was like 12 years ago, before the 2009 crisis, and we feel like it's going back again. Yeah. So I would definitely invest it in Guanacaste, maybe.
Any beach towns that you'd particularly, because I know that the guests, like, anyone listening to this is going to be like, okay, which beach counts? I mean, any particular beach towns you like?
Any beach in Guanacaste is worth it, but Avellanas, for me, it's one of the greatest places in Costa Rica.
I love Avellanas.
And also, every Avellanas, Tamarindo, but Tamarindo, it's kind of full right now, but it's beautiful. I mean, it's really beautiful. Any beach over there, it's worth it. Santa Teresa, Montezuma, Flamingo, it's great. Awesome. Potrero.
Well, Juan, this has been great getting you on the podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on it and kind of share your experience and expertise with the listeners. I think anyone that wants to get into contact with Juan and Eje Construction, I'm going to put all of the contact details in the description, and you can reach out directly to them. Juan, thank you very much for your time, sir.
No, Richard, thank you for having me. And well, it's a new experience, and hopefully there's going to be another one in the future. So thanks a lot, and yeah, you can search us on the web at www.ejeconstructivo.com. That's our page.
Awesome. And I'll put all of that in the contact description here as well, guys.
Great. See you soon, Richard.
Have a good evening, man. Hope you enjoyed that podcast there, guys, with JuanZuńiga from Eje Construction. All of his contact details will be in the description down below. The guys do an amazing job. They've worked on some great homes, and we're actually working with them on a couple of projects here. So they are a trusted company. Remember, guys, if you need any help with anything in Costa Rica or just want to chat, email us info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. On the next coming podcast, we're going to be talking to some people actually in real estate to just get an update of what's happening in the market. I can tell you there's a bit of softening happening kind of on the travel side. Not huge, it's still very good, but there is a minor kind of softening there. But I think this up and coming high season is really going to kind of dictate what's going on in the market. So, we'll continue to give you those updates here and honest updates as well, of course, because of course the realtors want to shine everything, but we'll try and give you the real scenario of kind of what's going on here. But till the next podcast, guys, thanks very much for listening and hope you've enjoyed it. Bye.
The #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.